But we can get to that later because Jordan Love signed the extension 4 years, $220 million, $75 million signing bonus. What do you think ultimately pushed this thing across the finish line after Love missed 4 days of practice during training camp?
I think there are a couple of things. I think that number one, the big factor, believe it or not, is that they have a padded practice on Saturday, and that team wants him out there. They don't want to start going through drills without their quarterback. And let's be honest, we know where the number is going to come in. We've been saying on this show for weeks now, once that Trevor Lawrence deal was done, that the Packers before could argue, hey, we don't think that you should be paid what Joe Burrow is making at $55 million a year. But once Trevor Lawrence hits that threshold and that mark, then the Packers argument loses a little bit of steam there. And so if Trevor Lawrence is getting 55, you can justify 55 for Jordan Love. And I think that's what happens there, where basically, okay, we know what the numbers are. I think I think it was going to be a 4-year deal all along. So I don't think that was the final breakthrough where Green Bay is like, okay, we'll go shorter on the years. I don't think that was the case. I just think that they're working through it. They're close, and it's time. It's go time to get some of that language done, to nail down some of the logistics on the guarantees, and then get it done in time to have them out there for the first full padded practice Saturday. And they were able to do all those things. Again, it's not like they were starting from scratch. It's not like there wasn't a roadmap. It's not like they hadn't made any progress. It's not like they weren't close to a deal all along. So all those things together, in the end, ultimately, and then Tua's deal gets done Friday too, which gives you even more clarity. So what are we waiting for? And they finished it off hours after Tua's deal.
Who do you think won the negotiation, Adam, or was it a push?
That's a hard question to answer. I would say, look, there's a win there in each, right? If you're the Packers, you get Jordan Love done before Dak Prescott gets done. Like, I wouldn't want to be doing Jordan Love's deal next year. By the way, if Jordan Love plays this season the way he did in the second half of the year in the postseason and Dak gets his deal done, then we're looking at a number that's going to be way over what he's paying him. But on the other hand, they're already paying him at a top level right now. So there's a win for Jordan Love. Look, that's the idea of a deal. Each side gets wins, right? They have Jordan Love under contract for the next 5 years, which seems to be a high number. But here's the other thing. This is such a young roster. They don't have to pay a ton of offensive weapons right now yet. And so while that's the case, let's get this deal in the books. Let's get it done the way we want, structure it, and we can grow with some of other young players. If you're Jordan Love, you're banking all that guaranteed money. You're set. You're set for life. You were set anyway. So again, I think both sides wins. Both sides win. And then again, they do this again, hopefully for both sides' sake, in 2027-28 when his next deal's up, when he's going to be 30 years old at that point in time.
So, Adam, your colleague, Jeff Darlington, went on some airways and basically said fans...
He was on Unsportsmanlike. He was on Sportsman.
Okay. I don't know if you heard it, but he was saying fans in general are too critical of Tua and sing too much praise for Love. Is that fair?
Well, I think what Jeff was referring to is this. These two guys were in the same draft class. Tua Tagovailoa was the 4th overall pick or 5th overall pick, and Jordan Love went later in that same draft. And really, if you look at their numbers, they're probably pretty similar. In fact, Tua probably has outproduced Love with the exception of the way that Love finished last year. And yet, how is it that Love's numbers came in higher than Tua's numbers? Like, what is the difference? Why would they come in higher than Tua's? And I think it's a case where, people have this perception of injuries with Tua, which is fair. I mean, he's missed a lot of time in college and in the pros, had some concussions, which I think worked against him here. They're two strong deals for two great players. But I just think that I don't know if that's the case. Look, it's a function of how your season finishes, our last memory of Tua is going into Kansas City and getting shut down. Our last memory of Love is beating Dallas on the road and then nearly beating San Francisco. And I know Love threw 2 picks, I believe it was,
Yep.
or turned over the football in the fourth quarter, second half against San Francisco. And so he didn't take care of the football when he needed to. But he still played exceptionally well in the playoffs. He still had that team in position to get to the NFC Championship game. And your memories from the postseason of Jordan Love are fresher and better than they are of Tua. So you're going to get more praise for Jordan Love than you would for Tua, in my mind.
I think one thing fans are still, even though they've kind of accepted and realized that Jordan Love is going to be getting $55 million per year, that's still an incredibly high number. And those numbers are just going to continue to go up for quarterbacks. But this isn't really a new issue, right? As long as the salary cap continues to go up, quarterbacks are going to get their share. It's always about, yes, it's easy to kind of fixate, Adam, I think, on, 55. Maybe Dak gets 60. I know Bill Barnwell had a piece out there saying maybe Brock Purdy gets $65 million when it's time to pay him. But it's always about a percentage of the cap, right? Like teams budget.
Not always. I mean, yeah, usually what quarterbacks are going to make, and they have a higher percentage of the cap than everybody. Typically, it's been, 12, 13, 14% of the cap. And I've had some agents say to me that they'd like to set up deals where quarterbacks are making a certain percentage of the cap, not a number. I kind of like that idea, actually, where instead of saying Jordan Love's average annual salary is $55 million, that he makes, argument's sake, 14% of whatever the salary cap is every year. Like, if you're a superstar and there's a quarterback, I think, one day that's going to argue for that and maybe in a position to get that. By the way, maybe that's Dak when he becomes a free agent after this year and you're on a scaled contract that adjusts to the salary cap. Again, we'll see how that works out. Dak is going to have unprecedented leverage to get and do things that he wants. So if anybody can help reset that market, it would be Dak Prescott, I believe.